Dave's Cooking Show, and today we're going to be cooking up the 60-40 burger, or at least my interpretation of it. Now, truth be told, I got inspired to do this burger by reading the menu of a restaurant, the Red Cow. It's a local restaurant here in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Now, before everyone asks, have I actually gone there? No. Why the fuck would I do that? That would mean proper research, and we don't have that here on Dave's Cooking Show. Oh no, I just read what was on the menu, and I decided to make my own version, and hopefully I actually came to something close. So this is my version of the 60-40 burger.
Okay, let's start these 60-40 burgers off. First thing you want to do is we got to get some beer in this son of a bitch. Alright, you want to take about a half a cup of beer. Use whatever beer you like. I would go through a, with a bit more flavorful of a beer, so you want a bit more of like a craft beer. This time I'm going to use a nice Shiner. And what you want to do is grab a whisk, and you want to whisk the beer for, about 10-15 seconds. This is just to get the carbonation out. You want the beer kind of flat. So just, let the carbonation stay out there and, give it a minute or two. Okay, so in a coffee grinder, I ground about 6 tablespoons of mustard seeds. Just really kind of coarsely ground them. There's also about 1/8 of a teaspoon of coffee in there, too. I just kind of threw it in. Threw it in a coffee grinder for a few minutes. Then that's a half a cup of mustard powder. That's 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. If you don't have a coffee grinder, you can use a mortar and pestle, or you can get a spice grinder. But really, you just like a couple of taps of a grind. You don't need much. You don't want this ground up into powder because you've already got the mustard powder going in. Then you want about 2 teaspoons of salt. Because this is going to be kind of a mix, be a little bit more accurate than just eyeballing it. And then just grab a whisk or a spoon or a fork, and you want to whip all this up and put it in a container. I would recommend a jar. You can use a squeeze bottle, but this mustard is going to be pretty fucking thick. So after that, after you got it in the jar, put it in the fridge and let it thicken up overnight, or at least 12 hours before you make your burger. All right, let's move on to the next step. Okay, the next thing we got to make for this here burger is some candied bacon. Now, I've taken some thick cut bacon and cut it in half. Now, this is just personal preference. You don't have to follow this, but I think half strips of bacon work a little bit better for burgers than do full strips. Just my personal opinion, but usually if I'm making bacon for burgers, I'm going to cut them in half. So you want to lay these out on a baking sheet and preheat the oven to 300 degrees. And I'll show you the next step. Alrighty, and of course, to make candied bacon, you got to dump a generous amount of brown sugar on top of the bacon before you pop it into the oven. So just, give it a generous coating of brown sugar, and then pop it into, like I said, the 300-degree oven until the bacon is done. Will take approximately 20 minutes, but you do want to keep an eye on it. Once it's done, take it off the tray, leave it on some paper towels to drain a little bit. And one thing I do want to say is you want to wash this pan immediately, because what's going to be left over is a bunch of syrupy, sticky shit. If that hardens on your pan, you're going to have a hell of a time cleaning it. So make sure you wash it immediately, or rinse it off the second it's out of the oven. So yeah, all right. Let's move on to the next step. So, where does the 60-40 bacon get its name? Well, it's made up of 40% ground bacon. And they don't sell ground bacon, so we gotta make our own. So, you start up by taking 1 pound of bacon and chopping it into fairly large chunks. Okay, so using your meat grinder, grind up this bacon. I've got the coarse attachment on, so I wanted this fairly coarse, kind of loose, kind of packed up. And, if you don't have a meat grinder, you can pick one up pretty much any hardware store for about $150. You can find some good ones on Amazon for 200. They're a little bit better, but this one will certainly do the job. I think I paid. I think I might have paid 200 for this. I think I might have gotten a better one. There is an attachment for your KitchenAid mixer for it to be a grinder. I don't like using that myself because I just don't like. I don't want to burn out the motor. My mixer is my mixer. My grinder is my grinder. Buy a separate grinder. Okay. Got that bacon all ground up. And then you want to add to this about 1.25 pounds of ground beef. I'm using a nice 80/20 ground chuck. In retrospect, I will say this. The one thing that I wish I did do with this recipe, but didn't think of it at the time, is I wish I would have ground the beef, like gotten, like a chuck steak or something, and ground the beef with the bacon. But, sarah, sarah. So you want to give this a good mix through. I didn't season the meat directly. I forgot to turn the goddamn camera on when the burgers were first put on the grill. So you missed what I seasoned with. I seasoned them with my all-purpose. I've given this recipe across hundreds of videos. But it's equal parts black pepper, salt, garlic powder, and onion powder, and you mix all that. It's my basically general all-purpose seasoning. And after I mix this up, we're going to form these into third-pound patties. And I'm going to cook them on the grill. So I'll see you guys out on the grill right after I leave you with the worst thing a son can ever say to his father.
Hey, Dad. I really have something to tell you. Might be hard for you to hear, but I'm a vegan.
Okie dokie, so our burgers are cooking up nicely. I'm cooking them over lump charcoal. And you do want to use lump charcoal because these things do have a tendency to fall apart because so much fat will be going out. Lump charcoal cooks high enough and hot enough to where you're going to get that good sear that you're looking for. Or you can cook these on a griddle or in a frying pan, but I just prefer grilled. So, about 6-7 minutes aside or until the burgers reach 165 internally. Alright, thanks to the magic of cooking show editing, these burgers are done. Last thing you want to do is add some cheddar cheese to them. This is a sharp cheddar cheese. And I know some people are going to go, oh my god, all that cheese is going down the grill. Yeah. The fire will burn it right up. Don't worry about it. Then just put the lid back on and let that cheese melt up a little bit. And then I'll meet everyone back inside for assembly. All right, we got a nice toasted bun here. And if you don't know how to toast a bun, I can't help you. Then you want to place a patty on the bottom bun. Some people like to add all the crap first. I don't. I like to get that burger right on. Then you want about 4 strips of that delicious candied bacon. If you don't remember what that is. Then remember that beer mustard we made all the way at the beginning of this son of a bitch? Well, you want to put a generous amount on the top of this burger. That's why I said you might want to do this in a jar because squeeze bottle is a little tough. As you can see, it's coming out like a fucking old man's diarrhea. Alright, so put a generous amount of this wonderful beer mustard on top. Top bun on the top. And that's it. 60-40 burger. Done.
And that's the 60-40 burger. Hopefully the red cow is not litigious. And